Hello. Okay, we covered this in class together, so this is now the video that I told you guys would come later. So we've already spent about 3 weeks on this as well, going over it, answering questions. So this is just kind of a review video, but I'll still go over the same amount of problems that I did when I first walked it through you, and we did a live teaching, okay, on this lesson. Okay, so here we go. It's based off of this worksheet. Okay, so this is the worksheet that we went over, right? So it's the PDF that's attached. Okay, it's that one. All right, so I'm going to do question 1, 3. So here's 1 and 3, 7, 8, and 11, and then 15, 16, and 25 and 26. Okay, so I'm doing about 2 from each type. And so this is now, this worksheet or these problems are problems that you will see PSAT, SAT, right, if they want to cover just the basics of trig, okay? And then I'll use my calculator, and then I'll also go into the Desmos scientific calculator. It's on my laptop ready to go. It's just my laptop keeps going to sleep. So yeah, we'll see when we get there. Okay. All right, so here we go. It's find the value of each trigonometric ratio. All right, so SOH CAH TOA, right? So this is your acronym SOH CAH TOA, right? S stands for the sine of the angle. O is your numerator. H is your denominator, right? So this tells you your proportion on how to set it up. CAH is cosine adjacent hypotenuse, so cosine of the angle. Second letter is your numerator, H is your denominator. TOA, tangent of the angle or the theta, right? O is opposite, A is adjacent. Remember, before you get started, you have to label OAH. Which side is opposite, which side is adjacent, which side is hypotenuse. Now, hypotenuse is, right? We shouldn't dispute which side that is. And then O and A are your legs. And remember, your legs are determined by the angle that you're focused on, okay? All right, so let's start with the first problem on that worksheet. All right, it's tangent C. Okay, so when they give you that angle is what they're telling you to focus on. So if you see trig function and then the angle C, that's what they want you to focus. So focus on this. So there's angle A, there's angle B, here is angle C. So match it, CC, right? Okay, so if that's the acute angle I am focused on, now label your opposite adjacent hypotenuse off of this angle, okay? Okay, so we don't dispute hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always the side that is opposite the 90 degrees, right? Always. Okay, opposite and adjacent change depending on your angle. Okay, so if this is my angle C, 12 is the leg that is opposite, 5 is my adjacent. So that's it, you labeled. OAH, it's accurate. Okay, so now you look at SOH CAH TOA. So now they're asking you for tangent of angle C. Tangent starts with the letter T. So I do not want sine, I do not want cosine, I want tangent. And so these two I don't want. This is the winner. I want TOA, tangent. So now, what is tangent of angle C? It is the ratio of the legs opposite over adjacent. And so opposite is 12, adjacent is 5, and that is your answer. That's it. Okay, second one. Moving on. I started to write number 2, and then I realized the triangle is positioned the same way as question 1, so that's why I changed the C to an A. So this is question 3, cosine letter A. Okay. I wanted a different triangle position. Okay, so again, which angle are you focused on? Cosine A. That's not very big. A. So where's A? Right here. So match it, A. Okay, so now you're going to label OAH. Okay, well, hypotenuse is always opposite the 90, so that's 34. And now your legs, well, this is A, well, angle A, then 30 is opposite and 16 is adjacent. And so there's my labeling of opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and focus on what it is I want. I want cosine of A. Well, cosine, right? I'm just writing it over here so I can have more space. So cosine starts with the letter C. So CAH TOA. I want the C. So sine is out, tangent is out. This is my winner. So I want cosine of angle A is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent is 16, hypotenuse is 34. That is your answer. So this worksheet, we essentially hit, once we did the intro to SOH CAH TOA, this worksheet is just a progression of all trig for IM2. This is as far as we go. You'll go more in depth in IM3. Okay, so no calculator here, okay? We're gonna get this section, now we move on to the calculator. Okay, this is just a progression sheet. Okay, so now we're gonna hit the second batch of problems, right? 7 through 14 in the worksheet is find the value of each trig ratio to the nearest hundredth. Just give me 2 spaces, right? Round off. Okay, so what you see is what you type. All right, so I'm going to do this on this calculator, but then I'm also going to go to the Desmos scientific calculator, okay, because it's really great as well. And if you get any of these scientific calculators on your phones, they work really, really well. Like, actually, I like them. And then, of course, your phone calculator, like your iPhone or your Android calculator, they work really great too. Okay, like I've shown in class. Okay, you want sine of 48. What you see is what you type. So sine of 48. So here's sine. So I'm going to go ahead and type it. Oh, turn it on. Sorry. Okay, go ahead and type it. There's sine 48 for 8. Hit equal, right? So I just hit the equal here. Okay, and I get 0.743, so 74 hundredths. And that's your answer. That's it. Okay, so let's do it on, let's finish here. Okay, tangent 6, same. Tangent 6 equal. What you see is what you type, 0.11. 11 hundredths, right? Because that's a 5, so we're going to round. Okay, cosine 21. Cosine 1 equal. So what you see is what you type, 93 hundredths. Okay, so let's just type it here. So this is our Desmos calculator, right? So where does it say? Desmos scientific calculator. Okay, so here you would type. So number 7 was sine of 48. Where's my, here we go. So here's sine for 8 and 74 hundredths. And that's what I have here. Okay, tan 6. So let's go ahead and tangent of 6, 11 hundredths, 11 hundredths. And then cosine 21, we should get 93 hundredths. So cosine 21, 93 hundredths. Yes? So remember, that's the Desmos scientific calculator, okay? Okay, we'll come back to this. I have to keep hitting it so it doesn't go to sleep. Okay, and then of course your phone calculator works great too, okay? Ready? Oh, I have ink. Okay, so I'm going to move that out of the way. Okay, that sheet's done. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so now we're actually going to go to solving for a missing side, and now our angle is now a degree. See that, 36 degrees? And now we are going to go to the calculator to solve, okay? All right, so here we go. And then I'll show 2 ways of solving it, whichever one you prefer. Okay, I'm going to write more because I'm the teacher. That's my job. And then you kind of you can then just visualize it. And of course you would write less once you realize what it is, which trig function is ideal, okay? Okay, so look, here's my angle. You have to always recognize your angle. So my angle is 36 degrees. You have to know where the angle is because that angle determines your labeling of OAH. In order for you to label, you have to know the angle you're focused on. So this side is O, this is A, and X is hypotenuse, right? Okay, so now look, I'm going to write sine, cosine, and tangent out. You only have to write one of them. So let me just write this, and then I'll tell you once we have the winner, that's where you could pick it up. Okay, so because really what happens then is students say, well, how do you know which one to use, sine, cosine, or tangent? Because remember, we're going to go to the calculator now. So you're like, how do I know which of the three to use? Well, this is how. Okay, so let me write out sine. So sine of 36 degrees is O over H. O is 19, H is X, right? Okay. Cosine of 36 degrees is A over H. A over H. This is X. Notice, I don't have anything for A. It's blank, right? This side was blank. I can't put anything here. And so because of that, this is going to end up being a fail. How are you supposed to put up a blank in the calculator? You can't. Remember, the calculator will do the work, but you have to input numbers. I don't have anything here. And so that's why it fails. Okay, so let's write tangent. Tangent of 36 degrees is O over A, 19, and again, I have a blank. Okay, so notice the original problem has nothing here. This has a 19, this has an X, this has nothing. You cannot put nothing into the calculator. And so cosine fails and tangent fails. You cannot get it into the calculator. Okay, so why is sine the winner? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite is 19, hypotenuse is X. This proportion is fully labeled. Everything is in its position. You can throw this into a calculator. Okay, so the moment A came up blank, there's nothing here. You cannot use it. So any of the trig functions that uses A was out. So cosine has A, that was out. Tangent uses A or adjacent, that's out. And so sine was the winner because it used two sides that actually had information given, 19 and X. Okay, so now how do we solve this? So now that's what we have, okay? So it is sine of 36 degrees is equal to 19 over X. Okay, how do you want to now solve this? Okay, so we're kind of done with this, okay? All right, how do you want to solve this? If you want to use the calculator earlier, let me solve it that way. And then I'm going to solve it again using where you only use the calculator once and you load it up. Okay, so let's solve it this way. You're going to use the calculator kind of twice. Okay, maybe you want to turn sine of 36 into the calculator and you want to first turn it into a decimal. So go ahead and throw that into the calculator. So what's a sine of 36? Sine of 36 is 0.59. So 0 and 59 hundredths is 19 over X. And so if this makes you more comfortable, perfect. Okay, now, notice X. Oh, you can't even see that. Terrible color. Let's get rid of that. Let's get a Crayola marker. Let's get something you can really see. Okay, notice X is in the denominator's position. Very, very bad. We don't like X as a denominator. We like it as a numerator, correct? Okay, so you're going to have to cross product property. So I'm going to cross product property, right? You're going to multiply, and I get 0.59x is equal to 19. And then you just divide by the 59 hundredths to isolate x. And so I get, right, what is 19 divided by 0.59? 19 divided by 0.59, right? You can do it that way. SD, I get 32.2, or 19 divided by 0.59. Remember, it depends just how you're comfortable with the calculator. SD, 32.2. So I get 32.2 is my answer. Okay, so once you set this up, it becomes algebraic, like inverse operations on how you solve the variable. So I put sine of 30x in the calculator, and I got 59 hundredths. Then I used the cross product property to multiply, and then I inverse operated the 59 hundredths, right? Which means you divided, and I got 32.2. Remember, you never want your variable on the bottom. Okay, so let's redo this now. So sine of 36 degrees is equal to 19 over x. Okay, if you're watching this video, you remember in class I solved the two ways, so this is not, all right, this is not new to you. Okay, for those of you that are like, I just want to use the calculator once, load it up, show me how to do it quickly. Perfect. Okay, your x is in the denominator's position. That is terrible, horrible. X should be a numerator. So what you're going to do is you're still going to use the cross product property, except you're going to swap the positions. Remember, I showed you guys in class, the cross product property can multiply. It can also switch positions. So I'm going to take this x and I'm going to bring it up as sine of 36. And the sine of 36, I'm going to bring it down to the denominator. And so I get x is equal to 19 divided by the sine of 36 degrees. And now this you throw into the calculator. And it's a one-stop type and you get your answer. Okay, so what is fraction 19 down sine of 36? Okay, really quick though. See that cursor? If you leave it there and you do not close a parenthesis, I'm going to hit equal, I'm going to get rejected. Syntax error, I was rejected. Let's do it again. 19 down sine of 36. See that cursor? You have two options. You got to close it. Close that parenthesis. Now if I hit equal, I do not get rejected. 32.3. And so there's my answer, 32.3. Okay, so what happened? We have our setup. X is not allowed to be a denominator. So switch the positions, but using the cross product property. So sine of 36 comes down, throws 19, whoops, I apologize. 19 divided by sine of 36, 32.3 degrees. You have to close up that parenthesis or you get rejected like I did earlier. Now, what if you don't want to deal with that? You could just hit the division button. So let me, hold on. 19 divided, see how I didn't use the fraction bar? I just used division. Sine of 36, and notice I'm not going to close a parenthesis. I'm just going to hit equal, and there's your answer, 32.3. So you just have to find your comfort level with calculators. When it comes, you know, as you're moving on in mathematics, especially in IM3, IM2, you just have to figure out what you prefer on the calculator. Okay? Okay, let's do another example, 16. Okay, so again, focus on your angle. My angle is 44 degrees, right? So based off of that angle, I label OAH. So if this is 44 degrees, this is O, this is A, and this is H. Okay, so now let's utilize our which trig function do I use? You use the trig function that doesn't have any blanks. Okay, so what do you mean by a blank? Hypotenuse is 15, adjacent is x, O is blank. I have nothing there, nothing. It's terrible. You cannot put a blank in a calculator. So I cannot use O. And so any trig function that uses O, you cannot use. So sine is out and tangent is out, and so cosine is my winner. And so write it out. Cosine of the angle, 44 degrees, is equal to the ratio of adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is x, hypotenuse is 15. Beautiful. I can throw that into the calculator. Okay, now, where is your x? Your x is a numerator. That's beautiful. It's where we want it to go. So when x is a numerator, you're still going to use the cross product property, except now you're actually going to multiply because x is where I want it. It's on top. Okay, so just like I went over in class, please put the 15 in front of cosine of 44, because if you put it in the back, and here's what I mean, you actually take, hold on, let's see, what's 44 times 15? 660. Okay, if you put it in the back, cosine of 44 times 15, you see that? It's taking the cosine of 660 degrees. See how this parenthesis isn't closed? So look at your answer, 1/2. So now let me take the cosine of 660 degrees, 1/2. That's not the right answer. If you're going to put the 15 in the back, you better close the parenthesis and then go times 15. This is your correct answer, 10.8. Okay, so what I recommend is if you're going to put the cosine, if you're going to put the 15 after the cosine of the degree, you better close off the parenthesis. Or just put it in the front. 15 times cosine of 44, 10.8. And notice I didn't close off the parenthesis. So you may just want to practice, like, do I close a parenthesis? Do I not close a parenthesis? It's up to you. And by the way, 15 cosine of 44, if we go to this calculator, sorry, my hands, it's like barely, it was on a pen, so it was jiggling. 15 times cosine of 44, there's my 10.8. Okay, now if you wanted to put it in the back, cosine 44, again, look, if you continue and you don't close off the parenthesis, it's taking 44 times 15 degree, which is 1/2, which is incorrect. So you need to make sure, see that parenthesis? You need to click it and then times 15. So I just highly recommend you always put it in the front, and there's my 10.8, okay? Remember, that's again the Desmo scientific calculator, okay? Okay, it's really yellow when I go in that direction. Like, it just turns really like sepia. Okay, here we go. Okay, the other set of I know this is like a 22-minute video, but you know, we did this over 3 days. Okay, now we're going to go into the inverse. So if you guys recall that shift sine, right? Shift cosine, right? Your inverse. Shift tangent, okay? Okay, so notice here, which says find the missing side. So we use sine, cosine, tangent. When you're looking for a missing angle, now we're looking at inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tangent, okay? But the first two steps are still the same. It isn't until you're ready to throw it into a calculator that you actually inverse, okay? All right, here we go. This is going to be like a 33-minute video. Okay, again, what's their first step? Find the angle you're focused on. Okay, this worksheet gave you a question mark. That is like so, ooh, I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it. Okay, the question mark is not ideal, okay? Like here, it's not ideal, right? So usually they'll give you, like, I'm going to redraw it because this is so terrible to me. 21, 14. Usually they'll give you an X or they'll give you a theta. Okay, so let me do theta here, and then I'll try and remember to make this one an X, okay, because the question mark is just not cute, okay? Okay, so what do you do again? You got to focus on the angle that's given to you. All right, well, the angle given to me is unknown. That's fine, it's still an angle. Okay, so I'm going to use theta instead of question mark, okay? You still have to label OAH. So this is opposite, this is adjacent, this is hypotenuse. Okay, so second step, decide which trig function you use. All right, well, 14 for O, 21 for H. I got nothing for A. It's blank. You can't use it. You cannot use A. So any trig function that uses adjacent, it is out. And so sine is your winner. Okay, so now what do I write? Sine of theta. See, that's why, like, what are you supposed to put a question mark there? Okay, sine of theta is O over H. O is 14, H is 21. Okay, so notice here, I'm actually given knowns, meaning numbers, for my ratio, right? Remember, the problems we just did, one of these had an X. This is my unknown. It's telling you find the measure of the indicated angle. When you have to find the angle, you need to isolate theta, or the angle degree, from the trig function. So I want measure of angle theta. Remember, this means measure of angle, and then whatever it says. So angle theta in this case, or it could be X, or it could be capital A, it could be whatever, right? Okay, so what happens with the sine? It's going to move over. It's going to inverse operate over here. And so you get inverse sine, that's where the little inverse is, 14 over 21, because you need to figure out what the theta is. What is this exact degree, right? Because it's an angle. And so now you just go straight to the calculator, and what you see is what you type. Okay, so let's go to this one, and then I'll go to the Desmos Scientific Calculator on the computer. All right, so I'm going to hit Shift and Sine. See how that little inverse sine is in yellow there? Sine, there it is. And then I can hit the fraction, and I hit 14, there's my 14, down, 21, equal 41.8 degrees. And so measure angle theta, what did I say it was? 41.8 degrees. And that's your answer. Okay, how do you put this in over here on the Desmos? So inverse sine 14 over 21. Okay, so what happens here is that you're looking at the Desmos Scientific Calculator and you're like, I don't see it. Okay, you got to go to function. So see how you're in main? Go to function, and there it is, right? So we were on main. You want function. And so inverse sine. Okay, but now you got to go back. See how there's no numbers? By the way, this is all like I am 3 here. Okay, except this is like stats. Okay, go back, and now you can hit the fraction, A over B, and go 14, right? Click down, 21, and there's my answer, 41.8 degrees. Okay, so we could do it again. Okay, so remember, I went to function. Is it inverse sine? I just forgot. Inverse sine, go back, hit the AB fraction, right? And by the way, you don't have to. You could have just gone 14 divided by 21. 21, and there's your 41.8 degrees. Fair enough? Okay, so there it is. Ta-da! All right, one more, and then we're done. Okay, again, find the missing angle, question mark, that's horrible. I don't like it. It could be, I think I told you guys I'd put an X here. Okay. All right, I didn't draw it very nicely, but sorry. Okay, so let's put an X now, right? So here I use theta, let's use an X. Okay, so this is the angle I'm focused on. So this is my opposite, this is my adjacent, this is my hypotenuse. Again, right? You find your angle, you label off that angle, and then you decide which